How does stardom collapse into homelessness? Behind the fame, the money, and the flashing cameras lies a truth Hollywood doesn't want you to see. Some of the world's most famous faces once had everything, fortune, admiration, and endless opportunities, only to lose it all and end up with nowhere to sleep. So get comfortable, imagine yourself curled up on a sofa with a cat in your arms, and let's quietly begin uncovering the heartbreaking journeys of famous people who lost everything. Margot Kidder. Few stories are as shocking as what happened to the woman who once stood beside Superman. Margot Kidder, born October 17, 1948 in Yellowknife, Canada, became a worldwide star as Lois Lane in the Superman films alongside Christopher Reeve. Her sharp, fearless performance turned her into a Hollywood icon, and throughout her career she appeared in over 100 films and TV shows including Black Christmas, The Amityville Horror, and Smallville. Behind the fame, however, Kidder was fighting a painful battle. She lived with bipolar disorder, and as her career slowed, financial problems began to close in. In 1996, a very public mental health crisis exposed how vulnerable she had become. During this period, Margot Kidder experienced a heartbreaking fall. She became homeless, relying on friends, strangers, couches, and temporary shelters just to survive. The contrast was devastating, a former Hollywood star struggling simply to have a safe place to sleep. Although she continued acting in smaller roles, the damage was deep and lasting. Margot Kidder passed away on May 13th of 2018 at the age of 69, leaving behind a powerful reminder that fame can fade quickly, but personal struggles can last a lifetime. Lonnie Willis. Lonnie Willis once embodied the image of Hollywood confidence and beauty. Born on October 30th, 1969 in Los Angeles, she built a career as a model and television actress, appearing in well-known shows like Baywatch and Nash Bridges. For years, she lived a life that many could only dream of: steady work, public recognition, and a place in the entertainment industry that promised security and comfort. But behind that image, Lonnie's life was quietly unraveling. After a painful and highly publicized divorce, her mental health began to deteriorate. Emotional trauma, combined with physical injuries and growing psychological distress, slowly pushed her away from stability. Friends drifted away, opportunities vanished, and her support system collapsed. By 2015, the fall became impossible to ignore. Lonnie Willis was spotted living on the streets of Los Angeles, pushing a cart filled with her belongings, homeless, and almost unrecognizable from the woman viewers once saw on television. What shocked the public most was her refusal of help. Multiple times assistance was offered, but Lonnie turned it down, clearly struggling with deep mental health issues that made trust and recovery incredibly difficult. Sun-worn, isolated, and vulnerable, she became a haunting symbol of how fast life can change when illness takes control. The contrast was brutal, from red carpets and camera lights to sidewalks and survival mode day after day. Lonnie Willis's story isn't just sad, it's unsettling. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that fame offers no shield against mental collapse, and that once someone falls through the cracks, climbing back can feel impossible. Do you think Lonnie Willis is a victim of mental illness that was ignored for too long, or do you believe she chose to walk away from help? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Jan Michael Vincent. At one point, Jan Michael Vincent was the definition of a Hollywood heartthrob. With rugged good looks and raw charisma, he became a major star in the 1970s and 1980s, appearing in films like The Mechanic and Hooper, and later becoming a household name through the hit TV series Airwolf. He worked alongside legends such as John Wayne and Burt Reynolds, and for a time it seemed his success was unstoppable. But fame couldn't save him from himself. Behind the scenes, Vincent was sinking into severe alcohol and drug addiction, a battle that slowly destroyed both his career and his finances. Arrests, legal troubles, and erratic behavior followed, pushing studios and producers away. As roles disappeared, so did the money and eventually the stability he once took for granted. By the early 2000s, the former Hollywood star had fallen to an unthinkable low. Jan Michael Vincent became homeless, living on the streets of California, struggling daily just to survive. The man who once walked red carpets was now fighting addiction without shelter, healthcare, or security. His condition worsened over time, leading to serious health complications, including the amputation of his leg due to infection. Jan Michael Vincent passed away on February 10th, 2019 at the age of 74. His story remains a haunting example of how quickly fame can vanish and how addiction can erase even the brightest careers, leaving behind silence where applause once lived. David Cassidy. David Cassidy was once one of the most adored teen idols in the world. Born April 12, 1950 in New York City, he became a global sensation as Keith Partridge on The Partridge Family. His face was everywhere, posters on bedroom walls, sold-out concerts, screaming fans, and his music career exploded with hits like I Think I Love You. At his peak, Cassidy seemed unstoppable, but the pressure of constant fame slowly destroyed him. Behind the smile, David struggled with alcohol addiction, failed relationships, and deep emotional exhaustion. Years of mismanagement and declining work led to severe financial trouble and eventually bankruptcy. By 2010, the fall had become devastatingly real. Cassidy was evicted from his home and for a period was forced to live out of his car, a shocking fate for someone who once ruled pop culture. The humiliation cut deeply. David later admitted how ashamed and broken he felt, realizing that fame had disappeared, but his problems remained. Although he tried to revive his career through touring and appearances, his health continued to decline. On November 21st, 2017, David Cassidy passed away at the age of 67, leaving behind a legacy filled with music memories and painful lessons about the cost of celebrity life. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more shocking stories Hollywood never warns you about. Erin Moran. Erin Moran once felt untouchable. Born October 18, 1960 in Burbank, California, she became a household name as Joni Cunningham on the hit sitcom Happy Days. Her bright smile and girl-next-door charm turned her into a teen idol of the 1970s, with millions watching her grow up on television. Fame came early and fast, but when Happy Days ended, the spotlight moved on. Steady acting work dried up, and Erin's finances began to crumble. As the years passed, her life unraveled quietly, far from the applause that once followed her. In 2010, the situation became painfully public when she and her husband were evicted from their home, revealing that the former TV star was struggling with homelessness and financial instability. The fall was brutal. Erin bounced between temporary places to stay unable to regain her footing in an industry that no longer had room for her. Alongside money troubles, she battled alcohol addiction and the emotional weight of watching her fame fade. For fans, it was difficult to reconcile the smiling Joni with the woman fighting just to survive. Erin Moran passed away on April 22nd, 2017 at the age of 56 from complications related to throat cancer. Her story remains a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly childhood fame can vanish and how lonely life can become when the cameras stop rolling. MC Hammer. At the height of his fame, MC Hammer seemed untouchable. Born Stanley Kirk Burrell, he became a global phenomenon in the late 1980s and early 1990s with explosive hits like You Can't Touch This. His flashy style signature hammer pants and non-stop media presence turned him into one of the biggest stars on the planet. At his peak, Hammer was reportedly earning over $30 million a year, living in a massive mansion surrounded by luxury cars, a private jet, and an entourage that numbered in the hundreds. But the lifestyle came at a deadly cost. Hammer spent money as fast as it came in. Lavish homes, constant travel, and financial obligations to friends, family, and employees drained his fortune at an alarming rate. When the music slowed and lawsuits piled up, the illusion of wealth shattered. In 1996, MC Hammer filed for bankruptcy, revealing debts exceeding $14 million. Years later, his iconic mansion was foreclosed and sold for a fraction of its original value. While Hammer did not sleep on sidewalks, he lost nearly everything and faced a reality dangerously close to homelessness. He was forced to sell possessions, downsize drastically, and rebuild from nothing. The fall was humiliating, especially for someone once seen as a symbol of unstoppable success. Yet Hammer refused to disappear. He reinvented himself through entrepreneurship, faith, and technology, slowly working his way back to stability. His story is a brutal reminder that fame does not equal financial wisdom, and that losing it all can happen faster than anyone expects. If you were impressed by MC Hammer's story today, don't forget to give us a like, or if you didn't like it, you can leave your feedback in the comments section. Thank you. Leif Garrett. Leif Garrett was once everywhere. Born November 8, 1961 in Hollywood, California, he rose to fame in the late 1970s as a teen idol, capturing millions of fans with his blonde hair, boyish charm, and pop hits like I Was Made for Dancin'. Magazines, posters, and screaming crowds followed him everywhere. Garrett appeared to be living the dream, balancing acting and a booming music career at an age when most kids were still in school. But the pressure of fame came early and hit hard. As Garrett Garrett grew older, drug addiction began to overshadow his success. Legal troubles, arrests, and reckless decisions followed, slowly eroding both his reputation and his finances. Opportunities disappeared, and the industry that once celebrated him quietly turned away. At his lowest point, Leif Garrett faced a reality that shocked fans. He experienced periods of homelessness, drifting without stability, and haunted by the loss of the life he once had. In later interviews, he admitted that fame at such a young age left him unprepared for adulthood and deeply scarred. Though he has tried to rebuild his life, Garrett's story remains a painful reminder of how early stardom, addiction, and lack of support can push even the brightest teen idols into darkness long after the posters come down and the music stops playing. Willie Aames. Willie Aames was once the face of wholesome television. Born July 15, 1960 in Newport Beach, California, he rose to fame as a teen idol on the hit series 8 is Enough, later gaining even more recognition through Charles in Charge. With clean-cut looks and constant television exposure, Aames seemed destined for a long and comfortable Hollywood career. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the pressure caught up to him. As acting roles dried up in the late 1980s, Willie spiraled into drug and alcohol addiction, trying to numb the fear of being forgotten. Arrests, broken relationships, and financial collapse followed one after another. By 2007, the fall was complete. Willie Aames became homeless, living on the streets of Vancouver, struggling daily to survive while battling addiction with no safety net. Rock bottom came fast and hard. The former teen star later admitted there were moments when he did not expect to survive. Eventually, a local homeless shelter and recovery program became his lifeline. Through counseling, faith, and the support of others who had also lost everything, Aames slowly rebuilt his life from nothing. He began helping fellow addicts, sharing his story, and eventually reinvented himself as a motivational speaker and addiction counselor. Unlike many fallen stars, Willie Aames found a way back, not to fame, but to purpose. His journey stands as powerful proof that even after homelessness and total collapse, recovery is possible when someone chooses to fight for it. Mindy McCready. Mindy McCready once had the kind of voice that could stop a room cold. Born November 30th, 1975 in Fort Myers, Florida, she rose to fame in the mid-1990s as a country music sensation, scoring major hits like Guys Do It All the Time and 10,000 Angels. With her powerful vocals and emotional delivery, she was hailed as one of country music's brightest new stars, seemingly set for a long and successful career. But behind the success, Mindy's life was unraveling fast. She struggled for years with drug addiction, toxic relationships, and repeated run-ins with the law. Arrests, probation violations, and public breakdowns became more frequent while her career stalled and money problems mounted. Despite multiple attempts at rehab, stability never lasted. At her lowest point, Mindy McCready experienced periods of homelessness, drifting without a secure place to live, while her life played out painfully in the public eye. The fall from fame was brutal and relentless. Custody battles over her children and constant media scrutiny only deepened her despair. On February 17, 2013, at just 37 years old, Mindy McCready died. Her story remains one of the most tragic examples of how fame, addiction, and untreated mental health struggles can destroy even the most gifted talents. Do you think fame helps people survive, or does it actually destroy them faster? Let us comment 1 if yes. Natasha Lyonne. Before she became known for her sharp wit and fearless performances, Natasha Lyonne nearly disappeared completely. Born April 4th, 1979 in New York City, Lyonne entered Hollywood at a young age, appearing in films like Heartburn and Dennis the Menace. As she grew older, her career appeared to be heading in a promising direction, but fame arrived before stability, and the pressure slowly took its toll. She fell into severe drug and alcohol addiction, was arrested multiple times, and repeatedly entered rehab. As her behavior became increasingly erratic, work vanished, and relationships collapsed. In 2005, her situation reached a breaking point. With no stable income and no safe place to stay, Natasha Lyonne experienced homelessness, drifting through New York City while struggling simply to survive. The fall was brutal. Serious health problems followed, including a collapsed lung and hepatitis C, pushing her dangerously close to death. For many, this would have been the end, but Lyonne made a decision that changed everything. With the help of a shelter, Alcoholics Anonymous, and a small circle of support, she began rebuilding her life from absolute rock bottom. Slowly, roles returned. Then came Orange is the New Black, followed by Russian Doll, transforming Natasha Lyonne into one of the most respected and unconventional talents in modern television. Her survival story is as powerful as any performance she has ever given, proving that even after homelessness and self-destruction, a comeback is still possible. Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid was once a respected award-nominated actor with a career many would envy. Born October 1st, 1950 in Houston, Texas, he delivered powerful performances in films like The Last Detail and became widely recognized for his roles in the National Lampoon's Vacation series. For years, Quaid balanced critical acclaim with mainstream success and was firmly established in Hollywood. Then everything began to unravel. Alongside his wife Evie Quaid, Randy became entangled in a series of bizarre legal and financial troubles. Arrests for burglary, vandalism, and squatting followed as the couple claimed they were victims of a secret Hollywood conspiracy they referred to as the Star Whackers. Their increasingly erratic behavior raised serious concerns about Randy's mental health, and studios quietly distanced themselves. As legal battles mounted, money disappeared. The Quaids lost their homes and financial stability, drifting between properties and even countries in an attempt to avoid arrest. For a period, Randy Quaid was effectively homeless, living without a permanent residence and completely cut off from the industry that once embraced him. The fall was shocking. An Oscar-nominated actor had become an isolated and unstable fugitive figure. Though still alive, Randy Quaid's career never recovered. His story stands as one of Hollywood's most unsettling collapses, where fame, fear, and untreated mental health issues collided, leaving behind confusion instead of closure. Lisa Robin Kelly. Lisa Robin Kelly was once a familiar face on television screens everywhere. Born March 5, 1970 in Southington, Connecticut, she rose to fame as Lori Foreman on the hit sitcom That 70s Show. Her sharp attitude and rebellious energy made her character unforgettable, and for a brief moment it looked like Lisa had secured a lasting place in Hollywood. But behind the scenes, her life was slowly falling apart. As the show's success grew, so did Lisa's personal struggles. She began battling severe substance abuse, which quickly led to erratic behavior, repeated arrests, and mounting legal trouble. Alcohol and drugs took control, pushing her further away from steady work and damaging her reputation within the industry. Roles disappeared and the phone stopped ringing. With no consistent income and no strong support system, Lisa's situation became increasingly unstable. There were periods when she had no permanent home, moving between temporary places and relying on others just to get by. The contrast was painful. Someone once surrounded by laughter and cameras was now struggling privately, far from the spotlight that had once defined her identity. Despite attempts to seek treatment and restart her life, the damage was already deep. On August 15, 2013, Lisa Robin Kelly passed away at just 43 years old due to multiple drug intoxication. Her death shocked fans and cast a dark shadow over the carefree memories of That 70s Show. What remained was a sobering reminder of how addiction can quietly erase a career and a life long before the public notices. If these real-life Hollywood stories opened your eyes, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next one. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes once stood at the top of Hollywood's action hierarchy. Born July 31st, 1962 in Orlando, Florida, he built a powerful career in the 1990s with films like New Jack City, White Men Can't Jump, and the blockbuster Blade trilogy. Athletic, charismatic, and bankable, Snipes was one of the highest paid actors of his era, commanding millions per film and enjoying global fame. But behind the success, a dangerous problem was growing financial mismanagement and defiance of the system. Snipes became entangled in a long legal battle over unpaid taxes, refusing to file federal tax returns for years. What began as arrogance and denial quickly spiraled into disaster. In 2008, he was convicted on tax-related charges and later sentenced to 3 years in federal prison, a shocking fall for a Hollywood superstar. During this period, everything unraveled. His career stalled, income vanished, and his lavish lifestyle became impossible to maintain. While he wasn't seen sleeping on sidewalks, Snipes lost financial stability and permanent security, coming dangerously close to homelessness after prison as debts, legal costs, and lost opportunities closed in. The industry that once celebrated him moved on without hesitation. After his release in 2013, Snipes attempted a comeback, returning in smaller roles and later reappearing in major projects. Still, the damage was permanent. His story stands as a harsh warning. Fame cannot protect anyone from the consequences of ignoring reality, especially when money and the law collide. John Drew Barrymore. John Drew Barrymore was born into one of Hollywood's most legendary families, but fame never brought him peace. Born on June 4, 1932 in Los Angeles, he was a member of the iconic Barrymore acting dynasty and showed early promise in films like While the City Sleeps and Thunderbirds Are Go. On paper, he had everything: connections, talent, and a famous last name that opened doors few could ever access. Behind the scenes, however, his life was spiraling out of control. John battled severe drug and alcohol addiction, emotional instability, and repeated run-ins with the law. His behavior made studios wary roles disappeared, and the industry slowly turned its back on him. As his career collapsed, so did his finances. There were periods when John Drew Barrymore had no permanent home, drifting between temporary places and surviving without stability or security. The contrast was heartbreaking: a man born into Hollywood royalty reduced to a life marked by chaos and isolation. Addiction erased the advantages his name once carried, leaving behind a legacy of pain rather than prestige. John Drew Barrymore passed away on November 29, 2004, at the age of 72 after a lifetime spent fighting demons he never fully escaped. If you're enjoying these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unforgettable Hollywood truths. Danny Bonaduce. Danny Bonaduce grew up under the unforgiving glare of fame. Born on August 13, 1959 in Broomall, Pennsylvania, he became a household name as Danny Partridge on The Partridge Family. As a child actor, he experienced success. Most people never reached steady television work, national recognition, and financial comfort before he was even a teenager. To the outside world, his future seemed guaranteed. But when the show ended, the spotlight vanished just as quickly as it arrived. Struggling to shed his child star image, Danny found himself lost without direction. The pressure, combined with unresolved personal issues, pushed him toward drug and alcohol addiction. His behavior grew increasingly erratic, leading to multiple arrests, violent incidents, and highly publicized breakdowns. As his reputation worsened, job offers disappeared, and his finances collapsed. At his lowest point, Danny Bonaduce experienced homelessness, drifting without stability, and facing the humiliation of surviving far from the glamorous life he once knew. The fall was brutal. Someone who once had everything was now fighting just to stay afloat. For years, his life felt like a cautionary tale of how child stardom can turn into a lifelong curse. Eventually, Bonaduce chose to confront his demons. Through treatment, accountability, and years of rebuilding, he slowly regained control of his life. He reinvented himself as a radio personality, openly discussing his addictions and mistakes. While the scars remain, Danny Bonaduce's story stands as a raw reminder that survival is possible, but the cost of early fame can follow someone forever. Amanda Peterson. Amanda Peterson once represented the perfect image of 1980s teen stardom. Born on July 8, 1971 in Greeley, Colorado, she captured hearts worldwide with her breakout role as Cindy Mancini in the 1987 romantic hit Can't Buy Me Love, starring alongside Patrick Dempsey. Her beauty, natural charm, and emotional performance turned her into an instant teen icon with Hollywood seemingly at her feet. But fame came faster than stability. As Amanda grew older, the pressure of being typecast and constantly judged began to weigh heavily on her. Behind the scenes, she struggled with mental health issues and later substance abuse problems that quietly pushed her away from the industry. Roles became scarce, and instead of transitioning into adult stardom, she chose to step back from Hollywood almost entirely. Without steady work and support, her life became increasingly unstable. Over the years, Amanda withdrew from public life, facing financial difficulties and periods of deep isolation. Though not always visible to the public, there were times when she lived without long-term security, far removed from the glamorous future once promised to her. Friends later described her as deeply troubled, carrying emotional pain that never fully healed after fame faded. On July 3rd, 2015, just days before her 44th birthday, Amanda Peterson passed away due to an accidental drug overdose. Her death shocked fans who still remembered her as the smiling girl from one of the most beloved teen films of all time. Her story is a quiet but devastating reminder that stepping away from fame doesn't always mean finding peace, and that some wounds linger long after the cameras stop. Do you think Amanda Peterson left Hollywood to protect herself, or did the industry fail her when she needed guidance the most? Leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. Leave a Danny Bonaduce. Danny Bonaduce grew up under the unforgiving glare of fame. Born on August 13, 1959 in Broomall, Pennsylvania, he became a household name as Danny Partridge on The Partridge Family. As a child actor, he experienced success. Most people never reached steady television work, national recognition, and financial comfort before he was even a teenager. To the outside world, his future seemed guaranteed. But when the show ended, the spotlight vanished just as quickly as it arrived. Struggling to shed his child star image, Danny found himself lost without direction. The pressure combined with unresolved personal issues pushed him toward drug and alcohol addiction. His behavior grew increasingly erratic, leading to multiple arrests, violent incidents, and highly publicized breakdowns. As his reputation worsened, job offers disappeared, and his finances collapsed. At his lowest point, Danny Bonaduce experienced homelessness, drifting without stability, and facing the humiliation of surviving far from the glamorous life he once knew. The fall was brutal. Someone who once had everything was now fighting just to stay afloat. For years, his life felt like a cautionary tale of how child stardom can turn into a lifelong curse. Eventually, Bonaduce chose to confront his demons. Through treatment, accountability, and years of rebuilding, he slowly regained control of his life. He reinvented himself as a radio personality, openly discussing his addictions and mistakes. While the scars remain, Danny Bonaduce's story stands as a raw reminder that survival is possible, but the cost of early fame can follow someone forever.